Hello, all. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, based on wherever you are. I'm been a little bit busy this month or so, but then I received a pretty good comment, which I thought, why not? Let's talk about it. So, somebody on the previous video, and thank you for all the comment suggestions that came on that video. Somebody commented, why we only upgraded the core app and why we did not upgrade other apps. And the reason why we did not do it in the previous video, because if you have watched it, it went pretty long, right? It was approximately 2 hour long, so I didn't want it to waste time on that. But I understand that it is very important, especially when you upgrade, or when you start something with a clean slate on Business Central. You should make sure that you install apps which are required by your customers. So today we'll be doing that. We'll see what things we need to take care when we are installing these apps, where you get those apps, how you kind of chose what apps needed, what are the commands that are needed to install those apps on prem. So as I do every time, a humble request: if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It helps us understand how we are doing. It also gives us motivation to keep doing whatever we are doing. And as always, if you have comments, add it to the comment to this video. If you have any suggestions, any idea about the future videos, add it into the comments. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is our environment. If you remember from the previous video where we did an upgrade of a UK or a GB from BC14 with customization to Business Central 24. And during that upgrade, we only took care of the core extensions. And when I look at it here, I only see base, foundation, system, and application, and surely one of our custom extension. But it's important that you install the apps that are needed for the business. Microsoft have already started shipping different features into different apps, and that's where it becomes important that you sit with your customers and understand what are their needs, and at least as a company you should have a pack of apps that you should install always. And I'll tell my list and then we can go through from there. Okay, so what do you do for that? You get into the product DVD, which I should be going now, and I guess it should be here. Our BC24 CU 4 GB. So once you are in the product DVD, look for a folder, and I'm only talking about Business Central 24. This had different names in different versions, but from a specific versions of BC, the folder name is called application. Now the folder application is an area where Microsoft ships all the apps which are owned by Microsoft, which are developed by Microsoft. And based on your customer need, you should pick and choose which one you want. Now I have a favorite list, and I'll tell you mine. I do install API Report Finance if they have a need of doing financial reporting on Power BI and all. APIs are very important. There's a full playlist how you can utilize them and all. So it's so much mandated that you should have API. My personal favorites. AI, surely someone from my customer would like to kind of understand how things happen, so I'll surely include that. Okay, client add-ins. Because they have been upgraded, unless they want to test out certain feature on a test company, I would not install the Contoso coffee demo data. But if you have a need where customer haven't implemented service or manufacturing and they would like to implement it, then do install these apps. Data archive is important. Data search, if they are into e-document, make sure that you have it. Everything on email is surely needed, unless they don't want to do an email, which is rare. Okay, essential business heading is needed. Error messages with recommendation, so that it helps user to get more details, and also helps it for you as a partner or a developer to get more insight, just rather than just getting an error message. Excel reports, very important. External integration events is very important, because this allows them to integrate with Power Automate from Business Central pretty easily. I would surely use that. If they are into image analysis, go ahead and do that. Master data management, they're very, I'm pretty sure there are customers who would love that. Permissions, you should have it, because now permissions are not shipped as data as they used to be in the previous versions of nav or business central. Report layouts, very important. With this extension they'll be able to see all the layouts in one page, easier to kind of navigate through layouts and all. Sales line suggestion, another AI feature. Okay, sustainability, in some reason it's very important. If they are starting it, then do install the Contoso coffee demo data into it. And I'm not sure about the UK one, but this is my more or less the favorite list. So I'll just copy this and put it into a folder outside somewhere. Let's see, where is my upgrade folder? Okay, I'll create other MS app. Okay, and I'll paste them here. This is my list. Now inside each of these there is a app file. I'll just put them out to kind of keep it simple. So every folder will have a source app, and I'm just going to put them out so that it's easier for me while I'm doing PowerShell. And I'm going to pause this video for a while so that I don't waste your time when you kind of get the logic right now. And as I'm done with this, what you will see on your screen after that is all the apps and no folders. So I'm going to delete these folders as I'm done with them. So just give me a moment. Okay, so all the apps have been out from the folder, and you can do it with pretty simple PowerShell command if needed. Let's pop up PowerShell and import the module that we need for Business Central. So which is stored on program files, Microsoft at Business Central, the version that you are in, service.ps1. Now this contains all the commands that are needed to run to manage service. One of them would be publish nav app. But before we get into it, publish nav app, we need to understand that yes, we have a list of apps that we want to install. Can I just install them sequentially? Not exactly. Each app can have multiple dependencies, and the installation order will depend on dependencies. The app with the least dependency will get installed first, and the app with the maximum dependency will get installed at the end, because that app will surely depend on the other apps which are needed. So let's just check that. Let's understand how you check that. So let's do a copy path of the app, which I did into the home ribbon, and set copy path. And then here you can do get nav app info, or I should be doing it here. I guess that will be easy for you guys, and I'll save it. Check app dependencies. Okay, so the first app that I would like to check is this. It's placed at this path, and to get it, get nav app info. And you don't need a service to do that. You can just utilize the parameter path. When you do the path for get nav app info, you get the detail of the app, and in that detail you also see a section called dependencies. Now if you look at it, this app is only dependent on Microsoft application, which is already published. So I'm good with this one. I can actually publish this. So I'll park this as publish app section. Okay, let's pick the second one, API v2. I guess the same for this, that it is dependent on application. So I can also remove this from here, and this can be my second app to be installed, and they are sorted by the name, right? Exclude business event. Let's just check that. Okay, the dependency section says application, so still all good. I can follow the sequence to 1 2 3. Then it's client add-in, and I'm sure about it, but just for your sake I'll just do it here, and you will notice that the dependency is only application. So I can also place it here. Now comes the graph API. Okay, which is for emailing. So when I check this, this only has a dependency with application. So we are still good in following the same order. Maybe the name shorting is what I needed. Maybe. But let's see. Again application. So I'm still good with it. I can just cut it from here and be ready to be here. Exclude report layout. I'm sure about it, but okay, let's do it for the heck of it. Okay, it's again application, so all good here also. API report. No, I don't think any dependencies other than the application. So if you look at it, all these are dependent on applications till now. So you might be thinking, oh, everything looks good, sort of. Why you're wasting our time? Let's see. Again application. Wow. So I can actually go and follow the same order just by using application. Let's not even do it for this, or should I do it? Okay, let me show it to you. It's same application. These apps are not interdependent till now. Even the data search will not have any dependencies, so I'll just put it here. Okay. BC Excel report, I doubt there will be any dependency, but just to check. Application. And maybe I just chose all the apps which have no dependency, which can happen, but I don't think so. Okay. Let's look at the custom user connector app. When I look at the custom user connector app, you see that there is a system application and then there is a email Outlook REST API. Both are from Microsoft, but the sequence of this will only happen, this will only publish after the Outlook REST API is installed or published. So let me keep a space here and put it here. Going down the line, let's see Microsoft 365 connector. Microsoft 365 connector has a dependency on system and email Outlook REST API, which is same here. So this also falls into my second group to be installed or published. Now Outlook REST API. Now this is the app, I guess, that we are talking about. Let's see, does this have any dependency? And it has a system dependency and an application dependency, and that's it. System application from Microsoft and application from Microsoft, both of them that we have already installed in our upgrade. We have system application and we also have the application. So we are good with this also, but this is a prerequisite for these two. So I'll have to put this first before I get into any of these two. Okay, let's go ahead, see SMTP API. And you have to figure it out. Once you do that, I guess you can use the same script on everywhere. So you just have to build it once. Now if you look at it, this just have a system dependency. So it is irrelevant when I install it after or before. So I'll just do it here. SMTP connector. Okay. This one depends on email SMTP API and application, which is from Microsoft. So we have SMTP API prerequisite for it. Did we had SMTP API? I don't know. Let's see. SMTP API, yes. So this becomes the prerequisite that SMTP API need to be published and installed before SMTP connector gets into it. Error message with recommendation. I seriously doubt that there is any dependencies to this. Okay, what we see? Dependency section is application, which is common. So I can put it anywhere, it doesn't matter. Then we have essential business heading. I'm very much sure, but just to show you, there is no dependency to this also other than the system app or application app. So I can again place it here. On-prem permission have no dependency, so I'm not wasting my time putting it here. Sales line suggestion, again have no dependency with any other app, placing it here. Last but not least is sustainability, which I'm not sure about. It's a new app in the town, so let's check that. There is no dependency. Okay, so now when we have decided the order that which we need to install our apps or publish our apps to begin with, let's write the publish command. So I'll keep it and I'll put how you put a comment like this: add your extension file path to check. Okay, so to publish app, we should be doing publish nav app and then the service name, which is BC240 in my case, and then the path. After the path or before the path, let's see what other parameters we have. We have a skip verification. You only need to use it if your app is not code signed. Microsoft apps are code signed, so you don't have to worry about it. Package type, we'll be using it in a while. Tenant, if you have multiple tenant, then do provide the tenant. If you don't have it, you can just keep it as I'm keeping it. Okay, scope, it's important for PTEs that you are building or deploying. There are different scope. One is global and one is tenant. Now tenant apps are apps that we build for our customers. Anything that is on app source or comes from Microsoft becomes a global app. So while you are publishing apps which are PTEs, make sure scope is tenant. Okay, anything else? I don't think so. Okay, so I said we will be talking about package type, and this is the time, I guess. So there are different kind of package types, and it is not listing those. Okay, so let's leave it for a while and we'll see that if it becomes a problem. Okay, so we know the command and we have it, so let's just cut this or copy this, whatever we want to do this, paste it here, everything remains same. So I'm just going to keep copying and pasting this on all the commands. And because I have already identified my dependency graph more or less, that which app need to be published after which, I can simply write all these publish in one go, or I can execute all these publish in one go, because they will not override the dependencies and you will not get an error message. And that's why it's important to understand the dependencies so that you can kind of then do with it, plan your things with it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish them. So let's publish them. Okay, and there are some errors. Okay, and maybe that's because of the tenant. Okay, because we don't have multi-tenancy and we are trying to pass the tenant, it is saying that tenant cannot be specified while publishing this kind of extension. If you are specifying a tenant, ensure to specify a proper scope. So okay, let's remove the tenant in that case, because we are not multi-tenant, so I can just search for it and replace all the places. Okay, let's see now. Let's do a clear screen and let's do the publish. So as it is publishing, you will see one by one that all of these will get published. This PowerShell window will fluctuate for a while, and while it is publishing, it is also trying to verify the sequence that you are installing them. So if you are installing a app which has dependencies, before the dependencies get published, you will end up with an error message. Otherwise, you'll be good with it and you'll be able to publish all these apps. As it is publishing, let's see what happens in our client. And I'm just going to close this and pop this again if I can. Okay, this window doesn't let me, but I'll try my best. Okay, extension management. Okay, so as you can see here, these apps that I'm publishing are also getting published here, and the only apps which were installed during the upgrade have the tag of it's installed. Now let's see, can we do it from here? I'm not sure, I haven't done it from here because I would love to do it from PowerShell, but let's have a check. Can I install from here? Yes, I can. So I can just do an install. It'll ask me for the permission and I do next, install, and install. This completes two steps. One is sync and one is install. For the installation to happen, you can do it from PowerShell if that's easier for you, or you can do it from the client. But we don't see all the apps here. So if you look at it, it says 1, 2, and I'm not highlighting the one which has been coming from the upgrade, but this is the list of apps which we just installed, and this is, just to pick a number, 15. Whereas when I look at here, I have 1, 2, or it's easier here, I guess. I have actually 22 apps. What happens? There are some apps with the word called exclude. Now the apps which are of word exclude are symbol only app, and these apps are never visible on your client. So when you open your extension management, you'll not see API v1, API v2, business events, client add-ins, email logging graph, master data management, and report layouts, because they are just symbols. Other than that, you see everything here. So now what do? We have to do the next step, which is sync apps. To sync app, the command becomes sync nav app, again the server instance, PC240, and name of the app. Now name of the app is important because the first word, whenever you build the app, the first thing that you see before underscore is the publisher name. So if you notice, everywhere it's Microsoft before the underscore. So Microsoft is the publisher of the app, and then after the one space is the app name before the dot. So this is my app name. So when I want to sync the app, I have to get the name. What else? That I have parameters, the parameter version. So if you have already this app, and this happens in the case of upgrade, you are forced to specify the version which need to be synchronized. But because we are installing new apps, we can skip this parameter. Okay, there are different modes. The mode by default is set to sync or add. When you do a clean, that means it will delete all the data from the associated tables. Dev, I'll have to check about the dev, to be very frank. For sync, again, you are trying to make a change in the underlying schema of the table or table extensions, and that's why you're trying to force the change into the environment, which you can only do on-prem. As in, for PTEs you can do on cloud also, but for other apps which are not PTEs, you cannot do it on the cloud. Okay. So I'll say add. Okay, and just to keep it simple, I'll place this add before so that I don't have to do it again and again. Okay, so this is our command. So I'm going to just copy this, and let's see. Yes, there's only one space, and I'm going to add these, sync these. Now what is my another app? My another app, and remember, only one underscore. So I just copied this, pasted it here. That becomes my v2, and then this becomes my external event. So I'll just place that here, business event, sorry. And then this is my client add-ins. These all symbol only apps are behind the scene, and you don't see them on the client. They are used for different purposes. Like, you surely have seen how powerful APIs are, and they are just symbol only, which doesn't make them visible on the client. But when your customer tries to do integration with other system, rather than they finding out then that you didn't install these apps, it's always best that whatever your preferred list is, you install all those apps on your customer upgraded or implemented environment. Okay, so just to save time, again I'll pause it, and then you know what I'm doing. Once this is complete, I'll unpause again. Okay, so the command is ready for everything, and let's quickly check. I have already installed the API report finance, which also means it's already synced, so I can just skip this step. Okay, other than that, I should be able to sync all these apps from here, running it in a batch. Now what's happening? It's synchronizing all the changes to making sure that there are no destructive changes that I'm making while I'm trying to get this app into my environment. Once the sync is over, the last step that is left is install, which is as simple as it can be with respect to sync. And to simplify this, or let me before show you how to write it, install apps. The command becomes install nav app, server instance, BC240. Let's see what else we have. We have name, publisher, version. Again, version is important if you're doing an upgrade of the app, otherwise you can skip it. There's nothing much other than the name. So if you look at it, everything else remains same, other than instead of sync it becomes install nav app. So I can just copy all this, paste it here, replace the word sync from all these commands with install. So let's do a Control H, and let's do install nav app everywhere where we can do that. Okay, hopefully there are no errors at this moment. Let's test out the install part, and we got the errors. Okay, and we got the error because we still have the mode which we don't need in the install. So I can just do a Control C, Control H, and remove it with this, and let's remove the mode, because that's important for the sync step, not for the install step. Okay, hopefully everything goes well now, so I can just run it. And again there is an error, cannot install extension with exclude client add-in because earlier version was already installed. Okay, and it's still giving for everything. Maybe that earlier install command did work, where it gave me an error, but it did hopefully install everything. So let me just bookmark this, come back to my client, open the page, and you see everything was installed other than the essential business heading, and that might be just one step that's missed. Essential business heading. Okay, so let me just pick this and try publishing this. Okay, let me see. You should not be seeing any errors, to be very fair, but there seems a confusion on this one. Let me just do this. So if you have to see what you have installed because you don't see everything on the client, what you can do is you can do a get nav, again an app info with the server instance BC240, and then get a list. Okay, now this list can be hard to read, so what you can do is you can use a trick called out-grid view. Now this opens up the same list into a list form, and you're able to see everything here from an app perspective, and you don't see all the details here, because to see all the detail, is it installed, synced or not, or what is the data version, you just have to add additional parameter into it. One is tenant, which becomes default because I don't have multiple tenant, and then tenant specific properties. When you run this with this command, you'll get a grid with the installation status, which is false here, and if I short on installed, I see all these apps which are not installed. These are 3 apps which are not installed. Exclude API v1, exclude client add-in, and essential business heading, and their data version is 14.13, which is coming from their upgraded version. Now these apps were available in the Business Central 14 environment from where we upgraded them, and that's the reason these 3 apps are causing the problem. So just for these 3 apps, because they are already there, and how I can say that, because if you look at the data version, it is still pointing to 14.13. For everything else, it's the current version. So their current data, whatever they have, is still into the old version. And to do that, what you will have to do is you will have to change a little bit and say upgrade apps. How you do that? Start nav app data upgrade. Parameter server instance is always a parameter. Okay, name. The first name is API v1. Okay, and then I need the version of that app, which I will have to check here. Alright, so the app version is, the data version here is 14, but the app version is 24.4 and all those things, which I can get from here. Now because I am upgrading, I am forced to use the version to which version I would like to upgrade to. Okay, and let me put the version tag first, because that will remain same for all my apps, because these all are from Microsoft. So I can just copy this and then get the second app that is causing the problem. Okay, forgot to add the double quotes, my bad. And last but not least is essential business heading. So if you already had an app in the old version and you are trying to upgrade them, then this is how you check it. First, you make sure that what is their data version. If the data version is less than the current version of your Business Central, then they surely need an upgrade, which is in this case, the data version is pointing to 14.13 and my app version is 24.4. So what I can do now is I can just install them, or sorry, upgrade them and see what happens. Okay, so instead of install, then the command becomes start nav app data upgrade to upgrade all these apps, and it says okay, is must be the newer than the current version, and this comes on my v2. Let me see, this is essential business heading because its version is newer than the current version. The current version is 244295. And I cannot install it because it's already saying that the lower version, oh, it's installed. Okay, now that's odd. Let me see here. This one got installed. Let me try to do the get nav app info, and it's also installed. The only app which is not installed is exclude client add-in. Okay, sorry, that was exclude client add-ins. So I should have copied this and would have, because v2 was not there for sure in the version 14, so I should have done this. Once this is done, now if I run, I should have all my apps on the latest version, which is 24.4, and all of them are installed, they are synced, and they don't need an upgrade, and they all are published for sure. So published, sync and install, and if there is an upgrade need, you will see that it needs upgrade would be true. So how you publish an app, or sorry, how you install all these apps, the first set of commands that you need to run is publish, making sure that you are respecting the dependency graph, which you can check with the get nav app info with the path parameter. Once you have published the required set of apps, then you need to synchronize all the apps that you have. And I'll just uncomment this because this is just for the demo. Once you have synchronized the change, there are two options, because till now everything remains same. You either have to install the app, or you will have to upgrade the app based on were they available earlier. If they were available earlier, then they go out of the loop from here and they get that space in the upgrade section. If they were not available earlier, then you install them. If they were available, then you need to make sure that you specify the version that you are trying to upgrade, and then system upgrades them, and what you see on your screen is everything up to date. Now I can use all the mostly common used feature that comes with all these apps, and hopefully my customer gets the value that they needed after the upgrade. Don't follow the list that I've created. That is my preferred list. If my customer need more, and I do discuss it with my customers who install more apps. But if your customer don't have a need of an app, please don't install it. It's okay if they don't need it and you don't install it. If you are coming from a higher version of Business Central and then going to a higher version of Business Central, rather than this example where we are coming from BC14, make sure that whatever apps customer had in their prior version of Business Central are upgraded to the latest version, because there is a very good chance that they are utilizing those apps. If you think otherwise, do discuss with your customers and then make a decision of removing those apps to keep their environment clean. Hopefully this video helps you to understand that why it is important to install all the required app that your customer business need after you do an upgrade. And also, if you see that all the default apps are installed, do have a conversation with your customer to understand which of them are really needed, because understand that these apps create dependencies between the base app, and not major, but there are some apps which will have a major impact on the performance if customer is not using them. So do you know why it is important now, and do you know how it need to be done? Hopefully I was able to convey that. You know the drill at this point. If you like the content, hit the like button. If you think this is something that your colleagues or your other community members should know, then do share it on social media. And as I said in the beginning, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. There is a lot coming into this channel because we have a new release coming in. So preview should be out soon, and as always, we'll discuss each and every possible feature that's come up with the next release in detail. If you haven't, there's a quiz going on Instagram on the basic stuff called BC Open Quiz. There's a question about Business Central. Pretty basic questions at this point are being posted every day 10 a.m. India time. Please go ahead and participate into it. It's fun just to understand how we are doing. Does our gut, without opening a Business Central client, as you can open it, there's no problems, works in the same way as you are thinking, and it helps us to kind of brush up our concept about the basics of Business Central. So do join there if you have time. It hardly takes a minute to answer question every day, and I'll see you in the other video sooner than later. Till then, keep learning and keep sharing. Thank you. Have a nice day.